Hi guys, welcome to TBS Skylabs, which is basically what I'm calling the roof of my house, where I have my little workshop. So we're going to have a look at some of the stuff we did in class. I thought it might be easier for some of you to see it as a video, so we can hopefully make life a bit easier for people to follow and catch up, but also for people who maybe were not in the school as well. Okay, so we're going to use some different parts, and this is just going to be for making our most simple system, which is getting a little LED lighting up. We're going to start with our breadboard. That's this thing here. We're going to have our power module. Now the power module should connect into the breadboard. Notice it has these little teeth on the back, so make sure all the teeth are connected. If you hang it over the edge of the board like this, it's not going to work, nor do you want to put it in the middle of the board. That will actually work, but it's just going to take up so much of your space, okay? So try and have it clipping onto the edge like so. Okay, and that's our normal place to put it. Now, there is a direction on the breadboard for the power stuff. So what you need to look at is these little plus and minuses here, okay? So if it's a plus, it should connect to the red line when the plus. If it's a negative line, it should connect to the negative line and the negative sign. Now it'll work the other way around, to be fair. It's just really confusing otherwise. The other thing I'd like you to check is that this little setting here is over 5 volts and onto VC in the middle. Now you could do it as 3.3 volts, but that means our bulb, our little LED is not going to light up very much, okay? So for the way we're doing it, we're going to work with 5 volts coming out. Now I'm going to connect that into my power. In your case, this was a battery. I'm taking it from the main line, but it's exactly the same because this little board here is going to convert everything into 5 volts, no matter what we do, within reason. Alrighty. So, first step is to bring our power from either side into the main board. So I'm going to use a red line here and connect it anywhere over here. Okay, now that's connecting to row, I hope. It's going to bendy a bit, hang on a sec. Now one thing when you do breadboards is they sometimes don't always, sometimes you need to stab stuff in a bit differently. Or make the holes a bit looser. So if you do get some resistance, that's perfectly fine. It just means you might need to clear out that hole and just make sure that, things are fitting in okay. Okay, so that's it going in now. It's not perfect, but it'll do. So, my power is now connected to row 13. That's very lucky. Okay, now, I also want my LED. Now, the LED has 2 legs on it. There's one longer and one shorter. The longer leg is going to connect to the positive side of the electricity. So, we need to connect the long leg into the positive side and the short leg into the negative side. Now notice the short leg is not in the same row. It is in row 14. If I put them together in the same row, I am connecting the legs together. And that doesn't make any sense because we want it all just to like flow like a pipe, like a water pipe. You wouldn't want the water pipe to have big circles in it flowing back onto itself. That would be very silly. So you just want one pipe, and that's going to have long leg going into the same row as the line, and the other leg going into the other row. Just to be clear, putting them in the same row means that you have effectively attached those wires together. Okay, now, electricity is a wonderful thing. Well, first of all, I probably shouldn't have it plugged in when I'm working on stuff. Its power's off, but it's okay. One of the issues that you can have is you can give things too much current, too much flow of electricity, and that can destroy some of your components. So in order to stop that, we use resistors, which will help us reduce the current. Now, those of you who are going on to do physics in year 10, you'll probably learn about how we work out the resistance and the voltage and the current together. But for us, we just want to understand that changing the size of the resistor will reduce how much current is flowing through our system. So let's take one of my resistors, and this is 220 ohms, and I'm going to try and attach that onto my breadboard. Now you can do it in different ways. To keep it simple, I'm going to do these big long legs. If you were making it as a proper prototype, you probably want to cut your legs and get it onto the board a bit neater, but this is just for a practice, so we're okay. So I'm going to connect line 14, which is the same line as my short leg of the LED. The other leg is going to go into, I think it's 20. Again, it doesn't really matter, but it's going to go into another row, leading away to some extent from the LED. Now I'm going to have a final line and my final line, and I'm using different colours of wires because that helps me see which is positive and negative, and I'm going to connect my resistor to the negative line of my breadboard. Okay. Now that's going to be set up as negative because it's negative over here, so that means we know which is which. Connect on here. Okay, so now I have power flowing through this red line into the big leg of the LED, out of the short leg of the LED into the resistor. Now resistors, it doesn't matter what the direction is, it's going to be fine anyway. Yeah, positive and negative, doesn't matter for a resistor. The colours on the resistor though, they tell us how strong that resistor is. And this one's a 220 ohm. And it's going to flow out that leg, joined onto this other wire, which then connects us to the negative side of our system. Okay, now if I turn it on, then, oh, I don't get power because I've not plugged it in. This is one of the issues. Not being so bright. Let's put it on there. Okay, so plug in my power, turn it on, and my little LED will light up. Okay, so hopefully that will give you the first step that you need in making your LED. And the next step we're going to look at is how to add a button.